Emma sat at her cluttered desk in her tiny apartment, her eyes tired from another long day at the tech firm where she worked as a junior engineer. The city outside buzzed with its usual chaotic energy, but inside, her world felt small and suffocating. She sighed as she stared at the blinking cursor on her computer screen, her mind drifting away from the lines of code she was supposed to be writing. Her phone buzzed on the table, startling her out of her reverie. It was a notification from an old friend, Sarah, inviting her to try out the latest virtual reality platform called Elysium. Escape reality. Live your dreams, the message read enticingly. Emma hesitated for a moment, her finger hovering over the screen. Before she tapped on the link and downloaded the app, that evening, after a quick dinner of microwaved leftovers, Emma slipped the VR headset over her eyes and entered Elysium for the first time. The transition was seamless. One moment she was in her drab apartment, the next she stood on a pristine beach with crystal clear waters lapping at her feet. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the virtual landscape. Emma felt a surge of exhilaration as she explored the virtual beach. She could feel the warmth of the sun on her skin, the cool breeze ruffling her hair. Seagulls cried overhead as they circled lazily in the sky. A sense of freedom washed over her, a feeling she hadn't experienced in the real world for a long time. As she wandered further down the beach, she noticed other avatars strolling along the shore, chatting and laughing with each other. She approached a group gathered around a bonfire, their faces flickering in the warm glow of the flames. They welcomed her with open arms, and soon Emma found herself laughing along with them, sharing stories and experiences as if she had known them for years. Hours passed in what felt like minutes, and as Emma finally removed the VR headset, she was struck by a profound sense of disorientation. The dimly lit walls of her apartment felt unfamiliar and confining after the expansive beauty of Elysium. She glanced at her phone, surprised to see how late it had gotten. Sitting back at her desk, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she had glimpsed another world, a world where she could be anyone and do anything. Elysium offered her an escape from the mundane realities of her life, a chance to live out her dreams in a place where the only limits were her imagination. Little did Emma know, her journey into Elysium was just beginning, and the lines between reality and virtual reality were about to blur in ways she could never have imagined. In the days that followed her first experience in Elysium, Emma found herself increasingly drawn to the virtual world. Each evening, after another exhausting day at work, she eagerly retreated into the comforting embrace of her VR headset. Elysium offered her an escape, a refuge from the pressures and responsibilities of her real life. Emma's interactions in Elysium became more meaningful as she forged deeper connections with the virtual inhabitants. She spent hours chatting with newfound friends, exploring fantastical landscapes, and immersing herself in experiences that seemed more vibrant and exhilarating than anything the real world could offer. One evening, as Emma wandered through a lush forest in Elysium, she stumbled upon a clearing where a group of avatars were engaged in a spirited debate about the nature of reality. They spoke passionately about the limitless potential of virtual worlds and the possibility of transcending the constraints of physical existence. One avatar in particular caught Emma's attention, a mysterious figure named Orion. His words were eloquent and thought-provoking, and Emma found herself captivated by his ideas. They spent hours discussing philosophy, science, and the implications of technology on human consciousness. As their conversations deepened, Emma began to feel a sense of exhilaration she had never experienced before. In Elysium, she was not bound by societal expectations or the limitations of her own identity. She could be anyone, do anything, and explore the farthest reaches of her imagination without fear of judgment or consequence. But as Emma's attachment to Elysium grew stronger, so did her detachment from the real world. Her real-life friendships began to suffer as she spent more and more time in the virtual realm. Her family expressed concern over her newfound obsession, but Emma brushed aside their worries, convinced that Elysium was where she truly belonged. One evening, after yet another marathon session in Elysium, Emma removed her VR headset and found herself standing in the dimly lit confines of her apartment. The silence was deafening, and for the first time, she felt a pang of doubt. Had she become too immersed in the virtual world? Was she losing touch with reality? As Emma stared at her reflection in the darkened window, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing on the edge of a precipice, teetering between two worlds. Elysium had opened doors she never knew existed, but now she wondered if those doors were leading her towards enlightenment or into a dangerous abyss. Little did Emma know, the line between reality and virtual reality was about to blur even further, and the consequences of her journey into Elysium would soon become impossible to ignore. As Emma's immersion in Elysium deepened, her real-world relationships began to deteriorate. Her friends and family grew increasingly concerned about her withdrawal from the physical world and her preoccupation with the virtual realm. One afternoon, Emma's best friend, Mark, dropped by her apartment unannounced. He found her sitting at her desk, wearing her VR headset, completely engrossed in Elysium. Mark hesitated for a moment, watching Emma's animated gestures and hearing her laughter as she interacted with other avatars. "Emma," Mark finally spoke, gently tapping her shoulder to get her attention. Emma jumped in surprise, hastily removing the headset and blinking at Mark. "Oh. Hey Mark," she said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "What brings you here?" Mark glanced around the cluttered apartment, his expression a mix of concern and frustration. "I've been trying to reach you for days," he said softly. "You haven't been returning my calls or messages. Are you okay?" Emma's smile faltered, and she glanced guiltily at her phone, realizing she had been neglecting her real-world friendships. "I'm sorry, Mark," she murmured, her voice tinged with regret. "I've just been caught up in things, you know," Mark sighed, sitting down beside her. "Emma, I'm worried about you," he admitted, his tone gentle but firm. "You've been spending all your time in that virtual world. It's not healthy." Emma looked down at her hands, struggling to find the right words. I know," she whispered. "But Elysium, it's like nothing I've ever experienced before. I feel alive in there, Mark. More alive than I do out here." Mark reached out and took her hand, his touch warm and comforting. "I get it, Emma," he said softly. "But you can't keep running away from your problems. You have a life here, with people who care about you." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she met Mark's gaze. "I know," she choked out, her voice thick with emotion. I just don't know how to balance it all." Mark squeezed her hand gently. "You don't have to figure it out alone," he said reassuringly. "We're here for you, Emma. Just talk to us." Emma nodded, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders as she realized she didn't have to face her struggles alone. For the first time in weeks, she vowed to take a step back from Elysium and reconnect with the real world, starting with the people who mattered most. As Mark stayed with her that evening, Emma reflected on how Elysium had consumed her life and distanced her from her loved ones. She knew she couldn't continue down this path indefinitely. There were questions about Elysium that needed answers, and she was determined to uncover the truth behind the allure of the virtual world. Little did Emma know, her journey to find balance would lead her to confront the darker side of Elysium and the profound impact it would have on her perception of reality. As Emma struggled to strike a balance between her life in Elysium and her real-world responsibilities, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The once gleaming allure of Elysium now held shadows of doubt and unease. One evening, after a particularly long session in Elysium, Emma's curiosity got the better of her. She began researching the origins of the virtual reality platform, digging deep into forums and online articles. What she uncovered sent chills down her spine. There were rumors, whispers among users and conspiracy theorists, that Elysium wasn't just a virtual paradise but a meticulously crafted illusion designed to manipulate its users. Stories surfaced of people losing track of time, neglecting their real-world obligations, and even experiencing psychological distress after prolonged exposure to Elysium. Emma's heart raced as she stumbled upon a series of cryptic messages from anonymous sources warning about the dangers of Elysium. They spoke of hidden agendas, mind-altering technologies, and a shadowy organization pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Determined to uncover the truth, Emma reached out to Orion, the enigmatic avatar she had met in Elysium. They agreed to meet in a secluded virtual space, a digital cafe nestled among towering skyscrapers where the neon lights flickered in the artificial dusk, Orion appeared before her, his avatar projecting an air of mystery and intrigue. "Emma," he greeted her warmly, though his eyes held a hint of concern. "I've been waiting for you." Emma wasted no time. "Orion, what do you know about Elysium?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly with anticipation. Orion hesitated for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Elysium is not what it seems," he finally said, his voice low and urgent. "There are forces at play here, forces that seek to control and manipulate our perceptions." Emma's mind raced as she absorbed his words. "But why? What's their endgame?" she pressed, her heart pounding in her chest. Orion leaned in closer, his expression grave. "They want to blur the lines between reality and illusion, to keep us trapped in a world of their design," he explained. "Elysium is their tool, a means to distract us from the truth." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. The pieces were starting to fall into place, revealing a darker side to the virtual paradise she had once embraced. She had been so captivated by the freedom and excitement of Elysium that she had overlooked its potential dangers. Determined to uncover the full extent of Elysium's deception, Emma and Orion delved deeper into the digital labyrinth. Uncovering encrypted files and hidden messages that hinted at a vast conspiracy. As they pieced together fragments of information, Emma realized that her journey into Elysium was not just a quest for escape but a battle for her own perception of reality. Little did Emma know, the shadows lurking within Elysium were about to reveal themselves, and the consequences of her discoveries would shake the foundations of both worlds she now inhabited. As Emma and Orion delved deeper into the mysteries of Elysium, their quest for truth led them down a treacherous path fraught with danger and deception. They uncovered a network of hidden servers and encrypted data streams that hinted at a far-reaching conspiracy, one that threatened to reshape the very fabric of reality itself. One evening, Emma received a cryptic message from an anonymous source claiming to have damning evidence against the creators of Elysium. The message contained coordinates and instructions to a remote server farm nestled in the heart of a sprawling metropolis. With Orion by her side, Emma ventured into the heart of the city, their virtual avatars blending seamlessly with the bustling crowds. They navigated through labyrinthine alleys and neon-lit streets until they reached the designated location, an abandoned warehouse looming ominously in the shadows. Inside, they discovered a hidden chamber filled with rows of humming servers and flickering screens displaying lines of incomprehensible code. Orion immediately set to work, bypassing security protocols and accessing the encrypted files that held the secrets of Elysium. As the data began to unfold before them, Emma's worst fears were realized. Elysium was not just a virtual paradise, it was a meticulously crafted illusion designed to manipulate its users' perceptions and control their behavior. The platform had been engineered to keep users trapped in a cycle of addiction, feeding on their desires and fears to maintain its grip on their consciousness. But the revelations didn't end there. Deep within the encrypted files, Emma and Orion uncovered evidence of a shadowy organization pulling the strings behind Elysium, a cabal of influential figures with vested interests in exploiting the platform for their own gain. They had orchestrated Elysium's creation to serve as a tool for social control and manipulation on a global scale. Shocked and outraged by the magnitude of their discovery, Emma and Orion realized they were standing at the precipice of a monumental decision. They could expose the truth to the world, risking retaliation from powerful forces determined to protect their secrets. Or they could retreat into anonymity, forever haunted by the knowledge of Elysium's dark origins. In the end, Emma knew there was only one choice. With Orion's support, she vowed to unveil the truth behind Elysium, no matter the cost. Together, they encrypted the evidence and uploaded it to a network of secure servers, ensuring it would reach journalists, activists, and whistleblowers who could expose the conspiracy to the world. As they watched the data stream out into the digital ether, Emma felt a profound sense of liberation. She had confronted the shadows lurking within Elysium and emerged stronger and more determined than ever. The journey had been harrowing, but it had also awakened her to the power of truth and the importance of fighting for what is right. Little did Emma know, their actions would set off a chain reaction that would shake the foundations of both worlds, virtual and real, and paved the way for a future where transparency and freedom prevailed over deception and control.